we are starting a new quilt along on this beautiful quilt by Joan Breece. Orange red thread, because there is this wonderful color. It was kind of okay, so now I have my stitches locked here. I've got my small curve. Now I don't have a curve that's going to match this arc exact. So, but this is the one that's the closest. So as you see on this camera, what I'm going to do as I do that is, again, I want to go over that for people. When you don't have the right curve, you kind of shift the curve to stay in the ditch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down, up, down, up, down, all the way across, cut my thread, come back, and then go under, up, under, up, all the way, and then I'll come back and do this. I will do as many of these rows as I need to, and then I will go in and put initially I thought about echoing on the inside of each of these squares, but I think I may have changed my mind. I might just go ahead and put filler, and then of course give myself that straight line that we talked about through each of these. Just because I think that on this particular quilt, that really is all at once. Okay, so I've got that locked. Gonna start. I've got myself at let me see, I've got myself at 12 stitches per inch. So I'm going to stay on the outside there because I'm in the white thread. And I'm just going to shift my curve, take my time-ish. And again, because I'm going to be filling in this white, I'm just simply going to slide over to the next one because they're inconsistent. The space is here. And then I'm going to do the same thing, head up. I could go behind if I'm more comfortable with that. I can go in front, whatever works. Obviously using the Mystic Curve 2, that's going to give you a little bit more diversity and options. So again, I'm going to just pivot my ruler to keep me in that ditch. Come up, come around. Follow that down, pause, shift my ruler. And again, the arcs are not a perfect curve, they're pretty close. She did a fabulous job cutting them out. I'm going to slide over, and I'm just going to continue all the way across the row, and then come under and back. And row by row. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back and I will have made my decision about what kind of filler I am going to be putting around these guys. Now I'm simply working my way back, and because of the arcs, I'm just following that up since there's just going to be filler in all the white, I've decided. With the angle of the crescents, because they're not perfectly on the diagonal, they're close but they're not perfect, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to fill up all this rather than put an echo around everything, which would show off the fact that they don't meet perfect. And then what I'm also going to do is I will do diagonal lines down up through, which we'll get to here shortly. Once we get this part done, you'll see exactly what I'm doing. And again, we're just shifting that curve to follow along. You see that little chunk right there? I just took that little chunk out because we broke a needle. But it's still okay to use. Thank goodness. Got a little eager. I haven't hit a ruler in years. In a decade, actually. That I've told you about. That's right, Rich.
Usually tries to hide that.
Well.
Like having a swear jar, you gotta put a $20 bill in every time you hit a ruler.
Yeah, you gotta put a $20 bill in every time you hit a ruler here, or leave a rotary cutter open. That's the big one.
That's $100.
I'd say 50. Let's go 50.
That's all about that.
That's right. You get to get a free pizza. 4 pizzas? No, I mean a good pizza, not that. Not that Greek guy. No, I'm going back from right to left. On the freehand side, if I were doing something a little more straight, I wouldn't do that. I would go down to the other end, but because of all the different angles I'm going, I don't have to worry about that. Now, Mr. Ritchie, let's widen this shot just a little bit up on the front of the machine, just a little wider. Let me talk about this for a second. I just want to throw this tip out there in case you've missed this. So, with most threads, what'll happen is they always quilt well from freehand side left to right. What'll happen with most threads, and by most I mean probably about 85 to 90% of threads, any of the trilobals especially, what'll happen is when you're quilting from right to left on the freehand side, because of the wind on the thread, as you move the machine this way, long ways, what happens is the thread unwinds. And that's why sometimes when you're doing a long stitch this way, now I'm not talking about your machine's out of time, that's different. But if you're doing a lot of quilting from right to left, what'll happen is you'll start to see that your thread is unwinding, and you can see all of the what's it called? The fraying when all the fibers start to come apart. So there you go. It does start to unwind, so keep that in mind. Now I'm good because I'm going up and over, and I'm going in all different directions as I work my way up and down back this way. And it would also be okay if I were doing continuous curve alternative or mystical grid work. But if I were going straight back like this, what would happen about every 14 inches is I'd start to see my thread starting to fray a little bit, because all of the strands start to unwind. So just keep that in mind. And that's with all long arms, doesn't matter the brand. So often what happens when that does happen is we think there's something wrong with our machine. And it could just be that we're doing too much right to left freehand side, and it's throwing off It's unwinding the strands. And with this particular quilt, I'm simply have figured out the path so that I don't have to break thread and requilt an area, which is half the fun of quilting, trying to find that sacred path. See that, everybody? If you watch that camera right here, what you saw is you saw my ruler go up over my foot, and that's how that happens. You got to make sure to slide it up against your ruler. When you get repetitive like this and you're doing arc after arc after arc, you really got to be on your game. You got to stay frosty with this. And the carpal tunnel's doing a little bit of number on me. My arthritis. You know you're having a bad day when you spit your dentures out on the quilt. You know what I mean? It's happened, hasn't it, Mr. Ritchie? I went to the super grip. All that clench in my teeth. Where's that glue out? Oh, goodness. Yes, I can no longer say no when someone says, "Have you had any work done?" No. Got my falsies in. All right. And I will say, not because I'm old, of course not. I actually broke my jaw and didn't know it. It got infected. That was that. Remember that day, Mr. Ritchie? Oh my goodness. Went in to the dentist, the Mick dentist, I like to say. The one that most of the cities have, because I didn't have enough money to go in and go to one of the fancy ones. And that poor guy looked at me and said, I thought, oh, they're going to take out a tooth because my mouth was hurting. He says, oh, Jamie, you have broke your jaw at some point, and all of your bottom and top teeth on one side are infected. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to have to do antibiotics. And I said, oh, so I'm going to do antibiotics? Are you going to have to take the one out? And he said, we're going to have to take them all. I was like, oh my gosh. And he said, the worst part is, I can't give you anything. This was a few years back before they had some of the new modern anesthesias. But he says, I'm not going to be able to give you anything for pain. And they're all going to have to come out. We'll split it up into 2 times. And I remember looking at him and saying, it ain't gonna happen. If I leave this office right now without this done, I will never be back. So that day, had all my teeth, and I had only been missing one tooth, I think. My wisdom teeth, I think. But yeah, that was. They took me next door actually to the quiet room. I'll never forget that. And I gotta tell you, it wasn't so much the pain, even though it was horrible pain, but it wasn't the pain that got me. It was the sound of breaking teeth. Oh. So, anyways, I'm almost done here. Enough of that cheerfulness. I'm going to come up and then next topic is waterboarding. That's right. Oh my goodness. All right. So now we've got this beautiful, these are all with that double bat and everything is sticking out. And again, I told you halfway back for these 3 rows, I had originally planned to echo around each one, give it a little bit of a negative space. I'm not going to do that because that's going to really make the imperfections pop out. And what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to start and I'm going to do all my filler all the way across. And then once I get these 3 rows with all the filler done, then what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll use a ditch ruler and I'll change to a, not sure, might use a nice gold, we'll see what I use. I'm not sure what color I'm going to pick, but I'm going to come all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, right through the middle of all of these. And then what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll start here and I'll do the opposite. And then at that point, then everything will be locked down. It'll look beautiful. These will look faux trapuntoed. And then I can just keep moving through the quilt. So right now, I'm going to go down and we're going to go do the filler. So now we're going to go in here and all of the white and we're going to put our filler all the way across. And so I've already done that back here. And I'm simply going with my old standby. So we're simply going to do our swirls and echoes. Throw in a few feathers, at least on these outer half areas. And then, as I head up, what I'm going to do is I go into the middle and head up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to feather. If you go back and look at the tutorial on the lotus, I'm simply doing that lotus feather design using these seams. These seams right here, and I'm filling in all of these as I work my way around. So it's actually not the lotus, it's just the feathers that are going to go up to here. Come back, and I'm feathering all the crescents. The crescents, all of the crescents are going to be the spine. So I'll have that wonderful, what's that called? Scalloped feather design. Come down. Come Come down. I'm going to slide up into here on that top portion and fill that in. Raise that handle so echo, echo, echo. I'm going to slide right over there, come back, echo that. Echo down. Throw in some small echoes there. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to finish down here, right on this side, and that way I've got that wonderful feathered crescent. Again, the crescents are my spine. Swing back, bump, new frond. Swing back, bump, new frond. Swing back, bump, new frond. Swing away and back, bump the top, new frond. Swing into the center, bump, come down a little further to fill in the triangle. Back, bump, frond. Back, bump, frond. Back, bump, frond. Bump, frond. Back, bump, frond. Back, bump, frond. Back, bump, frond. Come down. Now I'm going to head this way, and again I'm going to repeat the same thing all the way up and down. So if we widen this shot a little bit, so all of these are going to have that feather and going around this way. Some of them may have it going the opposite way. And then all of the partial sides here around the edge, that'll just have filler. And that'll be a nice custom. She'll have that beautiful positive and negative space along with a beautiful border treatment. And again, then the next step, once I work my way all across, is we'll come back and we'll ditch in these crescents. So there we go.